Why?
And we're live, so.
Welcome to this episode of, we can be Stormwater Creek, I guess.
Yeah, we should be Stormwater Creek. Not made up names so we can talk trash about people. It's literally the way this podcast was about to start before an adult got involved. Said, I don't know if that's the best idea, so.
Cameron. So can we do that? No.
Cameron was the adult for once. But we are live here at the Texas Fly Fishing and Brew Festival, as you may be able to hear in the background. And we're joined by a super special guest.
Oh, yeah, super special.
He is special. Super. JT Larkin from the Hook and Arrow podcast came by and was like, you boys want to get into trouble? We're like,
got
always.
Roped into this mess.
Exactly. We're like, what are you doing? Sit down. And we locked him behind a podcast. And now he's stuck with us.
Well, I showed up to this fly fishing festival because, fly fishing's kind of cool. I knew we had a BHA booth, and then I get here, and I'll be honest, these fly fishermen dress kind of gay.
Yeah. They seem like they're ready to get in the river now.
What tipped you off?
Well, the long hair, the real
hippies,
the real tight khaki pants, and then the sandals.
That's what my closet's full of.
Yeah. There's no doubt. That is exactly what your closet's full of. Like some, what are those sandals? Birkenstocks. You got a bunch of Birkenstocks.
Like Jesus sandals.
Jesus sandals in your closet. And
there's a lot of Jesus sandals in this convention center right now.
There is a bunch. We've had a lot of fun out here, and but still, it's great people watching. I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
I was wearing flip-flops this morning, and I'm real glad I took them off before I got here.
Yeah, otherwise,
I feel like I would have been.
Fun of you?
Yeah.
We did most
outright just verbally abused me.
He was already making fun of you when you left.
Anytime we
It's
get
okay.
together.
Oh no, I'm pretty jaded to it.
You should be. Just highly jaded by it. So, but it's been a great event. I mean, there's tons of great things and people out here. We've got Post Fly just down the street from us here, and they're a fly tackle, like mystery tackle box type deal. We got Wade Rod coming. I'm just looking down the thing. We got a 40-pound, what is that, a trout down there? I think that's a world record trout.
It's a brown trout.
It's a brown trout.
I saw that. I'm going to walk down there and look at it.
From the Arkansas Wildman, who I've been trying to be like,
There's
dude.
a clear shot.
So, yeah, it's a big fish. This thing was a lot of fun. There's a casting pond. There's a kayak demo pond.
We're going to put one in Jordan's living room when Whitney's out of town for a week.
Oh, my God.
We already discussed
so
this.
awesome.
So we're going to have
She's
we're
pretty
gonna
much
have a
trying
slumber
to
party.
X-ray the llamas, so I'm at.
That'll be the last time we see him.
No.
No, dude,
He's going to move in with
nothing
you.
compared to the things I do at my house.
He's gonna move in with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's really hard to piss Whitney off.
No, it's not. She just gets over it.
She does get over it real easy.
Yeah.
We've been together for 17 years.
She's
so,
just
I mean,
like
she's
nothing
used to it.
surprises me anymore. So, but we're watching all kinds of fly tying events. We were surrounded by a bunch of dudes tying flies, which is pretty awesome. I think we may talk to some guys who do some pretty cool things with tying flies and building rods for veterans a little later on in the afternoon. And it's a neat experience. Come out here. If nothing else, they've got some good beer out here. Walk around and look at dudes in Birkenstocks. I don't understand you two. Your
Who?
children. Jordan and Austin. They know what I'm talking about. So, JT, what is you guys recorded a podcast the other day, and you guys are. I'm glad to hear that we're going to get some new stuff from you guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna start recording again. Finally got a new recorder after all my shit got stolen.
Yeah.
It's back now. Well, it's not back. I had to buy new stuff, but yeah, I got a new recorder. I recorded one last night with a buddy who just started archery hunting this past year, and he had a bow prior, but he just kind of actually got serious about it less than a year ago, and he killed him a whitetail with his bow this year. So
Good for him.
yeah, pretty good to be able to kill one your first year with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
Something
Yeah,
that
it's
a lot
pretty
of
good.
people don't do, and so he's
Yeah.
actually shooting tournaments and stuff with me a little bit.
Good for him.
So, and he's one of the best bass fishermen I know. He's caught like a 17.5 or something, largemouth, like. But he moved out here and wanted to get into hunting too. So
He was all about it. So that's pretty cool. We're I don't even know like what would a 17-pound fish feel like if you caught it. It's
A
like,
log.
Yeah, like
Feel
a
like
long-
it would feel like 17 pounds.
17 pounds. I mean, if you had
I
to
think
use like a
exactly.
scientific like measurement, it would be like catching 17 pounds. Like if I tied 17-pound weight to the end of my rod and just threw it out.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine a 17-pound fish.
No. I don't think I've caught 17 pounds worth of fish in my life.
I've caught double-digit bass.
Yeah, we heard your story about your log you caught. You thought you were hung up.
I thought I was. Then the log swam left real fast.
And you didn't know which way to go.
Yeah. it was
So,
cool.
but we are joined, like I said, with JT, which we're going to be up in Paris, Texas, in a little over
3 weeks.
April
3
5th,
weeks. Yeah,
6th, 7th, and 8th.
at the ASA
Something like
shoot,
that.
Pro-Am shoot.
Around that time.
We'll be there Friday,
Thursday,
Saturday,
Friday.
Sunday. We're going to have a
Yeah.
BHA booth set up.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
We're live from the BHA booth here at Texas Fly Fishing Festival, and so it will be it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. So come on out if you're in the East Texas area. I guess the Northeast Texas area.
Yeah. This is southern Oklahoma.
Southern Oklahoma.
come see the Eiffel
Oh,
Tower.
are we talking about Paris? That's definitely southern Oklahoma.
Yeah. See Campbell's soup.
How funny is it they literally have a little Eiffel Tower in Paris?
Why wouldn't
Do
you?
they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where we're going to be. Like the Eiffel Tower's at the convention center that the shoot's at.
It's amazing.
It's like
I
a
didn't know
little
that was
baby
that.
Eiffel Tower.
It's just-
So amazed by this.
Yeah. Take your wife home and be like, hey, we're going to Paris, Texas. It's awesome.
All the Campbell soup you can eat.
All the camel soup you can eat. It's going to be great. So JT, what's been going on since the end of deer season?
Sadness.
Sadness.
Just can't go hunting. Sucks.
Yeah.
Just been shooting my bow though. Shooting
Yeah.
a lot of
Pigs,
tournaments.
man.
Huh?
So no pigs?
I have pigs, but I just haven't been hunting them. Just busy with work, shooting my bow a bunch. I definitely need to go hunt some pigs. They are just tearing up my dad's place right now. We have like 160 acres just west of Weatherford, and it's literally like where my shop is. And so that the buck I killed this year, I killed 200 yards behind my shop.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I went shed hunting out there the other day, just kind of walked around a little bit, and pigs just have it tore up like crazy. So I probably should go pig hunting. I need to get some corn out and see.
What
I
you
had
can
one.
find.
I had one coming in like 3 months ago that his cutters literally almost went to his eye.
Good
Like
That's
Dang.
awesome.
it was the biggest cuttered pig I've ever seen. And I only got about 3 pictures of him, and I think he actually broke that cutter off because then I got another picture, and it looks like him, but I can't tell, but the cutter's gone.
Yeah, there's never a shortage of pigs typically,
No.
and it doesn't take long to find them.
Guess they won't grow those back, will they?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Well, I
think so
guess they
either.
keep growing longer. Maybe they'll just keep growing.
Yeah,
You're
that's
just
true.
going to kind of have like a long one and a short one.
Hmm.
Pretty cool.
Nobody has an
Shallow
answer.
pedantic.
Exactly. Giannis, if you could get on that, that'd be great. Well, that's pretty cool. So you've been shooting tournaments. What have you got on deck this year? You got any plans to go out and you shot a big ass elk this year?
Shot a
Well,
big
last
elk.
year, I guess. But
Yeah, I had a good year. I went to Colorado, killed a pronghorn, and then went to New Mexico and killed a big bull, like way giant for my standards. Like I would have shot a raghorn. It just so happened a 340 bull walked by me, and I
first
killed.
come, first serve, right?
Yeah, I killed him on day 8 solo, 4.5 miles in,
Oh my God.
and that was a fun 3-load pack out.
So how many times have you gone like to do like a trip like that where you're either by yourself or even with somebody, but like everything's on your back, you're just like go.
That's my 4th like pack-in hunt that I've
Okay.
done. But that's the first solo. And
Okay.
it actually didn't start out solo. I started hunting with a guy, and 3 days into it at lunch on day 3, we had hiked 33.5 miles.
Oh my God.
And he looked at me while we were eating lunch, and he's like, dude, I can't keep up with you. I can't keep
done.
doing this.
Yeah.
And the reason we were hiking so much is because we were camping up on top of this ridge, and every morning it was about a 3-mile hike into just where we started hunting.
Oh my God.
It was an easy hike though. Like it was
Yeah.
along the top of a ridge, and then you drop down like 800 feet into the bottom
Okay.
of a canyon, and then it was pretty flat in the bottom of the canyon, and that's kind of where we were hunting down in
Okay.
there. And so it wasn't horrible hiking, but it was just a lot of miles.
Okay.
And he told me, he's like, I was in a car wreck, you know, back when I was like 18. I have a bad hip. He's like, I'm not doing this for 10 days.
I'm out. So that's pretty cool. What do you, so like if from your first trip, for a bunch of guys who, I mean, some of us have gone elk hunting a couple times, but some of us haven't. What's the biggest thing you could tell somebody who's never done that before? Like, tip one, you got to do this.
Tip one is you got to find the animals. It's not like
Okay.
whitetail hunting. You
Yeah.
can't sit and let them come to you.
Okay.
Elk are completely different. You know, you may have a drainage, you know, 3 or 4 drainages in one little area. There may not be elk in, you know, 3 of them, and then all of a sudden you find a pocket that's just holding a ton of elk.
Okay.
Like they're super concentrated in little areas. You know,
Okay.
you go out west. You know, here in Texas, you walk through the woods, you're going to bump a whitetail.
Yeah.
You know, a whitetail may live in, you know, a little patch of woods, or like pretty much every patch of woods has a whitetail here. Yeah. It's not like that with elk. You know, they're herd animals. They get in little spots that they like. That's where they stay.
And they stay there.
Yeah, and so you just kind of have to weed through and find them.
Okay.
And I suck at elk hunting in Colorado, so after hunting New Mexico, where I actually was on elk every day.
Yeah.
Like I would like to go back to Colorado and see if I could do better there.
Okay.
But you know, New Mexico was a lot better than Colorado.
Yeah. But you have to draw there or get a landowner tag, right?
Yeah.
There's
And
no-
I drew
no
a tag.
return.
What I did is I actually put in the guide pool,
Okay.
but I did what they call like a DIY guide
Okay.
draw. And so I signed a contract with the outfitter, and basically that contract said if I drew my elk tag, I had to pay him $1,200. And all he was going to do for me was meet me twice for 5 minutes to make it legal. And so it was just basically it doubled my chances of drawing,
Okay.
and it turned my elk tag from an $800 tag to a $2,100 tag.
It's not too bad.
And
Especially
so,
to shoot a monster that you shot.
yeah, and I mean,
No
a
lie.
landowner in the unit that I was hunting, a landowner tag's like $7,000 in that unit. So
Oh
I mean,
my God.
getting an elk tag for $2,100 is still a steal.
You're still coming out ahead for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
But they actually cracked down on that this year. Last year the law was you just had to meet your outfitter twice for like 5 minutes each meeting and take a picture with them.
Okay.
And they changed the rules now where you actually have to hunt for 2 full days with your guide.
Oh my God. So
And
they're
so the prices are going to go up. You know,
Yeah,
that
you're-
$1,200 is probably going to be more like $1,500 to $1,800. So then you're starting to get to that point where it's like, is it worth it? Do you
now
really?
you're straight on a guided hunt essentially.
Yeah. Do you really? I mean, because most of the guided hunts in New Mexico are 5 or 6 days anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're paying for 2 days, I mean, they're not going to charge a whole lot more for the extra 4 days.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. You might as well just bite the bullet. And okay, so so you were out so you've gone out like 3 times, and this like 4th time was like money, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome. We literally saw a 370 bull 10 minutes into our hunt.
Oh my God.
We were dropping down into a canyon and jumped him up, and it was just like the biggest elk I've ever seen.
Wow.
was that with the bow or with the rifle?
Yeah, I was archery hunting.
Yeah. And are they just screaming everywhere around you, or?
They would scream for about the first 10 minutes in the morning, and if you didn't get on them within the first 10, 15 minutes, then they shut up for the rest of the day. So the way I did it is I would hike in, try finding one bugling and work him, and by 10 o'clock, if I wasn't on one or had one that I still had talking to me, there was a water hole that I'd go sit at.
And just wait.
Yeah, and I actually never had an elk come into that water. They'd kind of moved up out of the drainage
Okay.
by about halfway through my hunt. The first of the hunt, they were all down in these canyons and drainages, and by about halfway through, they followed the cows up on top.
Okay.
And so they weren't really down there where the water holes were. And so I never saw any elk. I had a group of mule deer bucks come in with like 350, 160-inch bucks in it, and it was like,
Oh, my God.
and I didn't have a tag.
Yeah.
So it was, and Jordan and I were in Chama. Didn't have a mule deer tag, but we saw a whole bunch of mule deer.
We didn't have a bull tag either. We saw a big old
Yeah.
bull.
Yep.
Really?
I wanna
Like Potch stood up. He was bedded down, stood up 20 yards in front of us. Like we were walking a fire road.
Close
Holy
enough
shit.
that you got Pretty awesome cell phone picture. Yeah.
What were y'all out there hunting or just out there?
Yeah.
What were y'all hunting for?
Cow tag.
Oh, you had a cow tag?
Yeah.
If you'd had a bull tag, though, you'd never seen him.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and
We saw all these cool rabbits or squirrels. We saw them the whole time. They're called Abbots. We've talked about it on a prior podcast. They have these little like tassels on their ears.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to shoot a couple of these and put them on the table like placemats, like tiny bear rugs.
Oh, dear.
And then we went looking for them after we kind of were done elk hunting. Never could find one. But while we were elk hunting, like
Everywhere.
exactly, like
Everywhere.
ants.
I'm still amazed from how much I enjoyed eating squirrel. Speaking of that, it was so good.
Remind
squirrel's
me.
great.
So, Aaron, who we went elk hunting with,
Yes.
his dad. When I was up there the other day talking to him about that butchery class we want to do, he was like, "Oh, my dad was telling me this week that they pulled the trail cameras off those couple of those fire roads we were walking." He said 5 minutes before we walked one of these fire roads, 6 cows rolled through and a mountain lion. Remember we're seeing all the mountain lion tracks?
Yeah.
It's like, and they told us we have mountain lion tags, so if you want to shoot one, you can.
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
That's cool.
So we missed the
That is-
cows
We
and the mountain lion.
they rolled through, and 5 minutes behind them, we rolled through. Like, so we chased them around that whole week we were there. We just followed them around.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
I guess. I mean, it's
I thought you
cool,
were
but
gonna
it's
say,
not.
Let's just say they caught me going behind a tree.
Probably that too. They're just classier than us.
There's
Didn't
no that.
mention
They're
it.
just like delete that one.
You know what's funny? There was a couple of game cams set up on. Well, one of them was just like an empty, skeleton box, like a bear box for a game cam, and then one of them had a cam in it on that pond that I was sitting during the midday elk hunting, and I talked to the guys who had that thing sitting there, and I was looking at it with my binoculars one day, and I was thinking, man, that thing doesn't have a lock on it. I'm going to go over there, I'm going to just check the card, see if any. Because I had talked to the guys, so I figured they knew, and they had told me they had a cam on the water. So I figured, well, hell, they'll know I wasn't trying to steal it. Like I literally.
You weren't going to take it out.
Yeah, well, I was just going to pop.
Exactly.
I was going to pop the SD card out, throw it in my camera, see if anything was on it, and then I'd at least know, if they're coming at night or whatever. So I get over and start messing with it. It was locked from the back, so they have about 10 pictures of my face trying to get into their camera.
Yeah. We were talking to a guy here at the festival who was very interested in getting involved in public land, and I was telling him that you should probably get some trail cameras. It's a pretty good technique to find deer and whatnot. And he's like, well, how do you keep people away from them? I'm like, well, there's basically 2 people in the woods. There's hunters like you and I who are only going to do the worst case scenario. They're going to moon the camera, and then you got another section of people who are going to take it. Within that section of people, you got people who are just going to take it if there's no lock on it. And then in a smaller section of people who are going to carry a pair of bolt cutters. And they're going to cut that thing off. And you're not going to stop those people. So
Yeah, locks only keep honest people honest.
Yeah,
Isn't that what they say?
Absolutely. So, I don't know. I don't mind checking a game camera and seeing a bunch of dudes on there that are doing nothing but out hunting. So, I mean, it tells me that I need to move and get to a different spot.
Yep,
It's
exactly.
just like seeing animals
And their
during the
white
day.
jeans.
Oh my god. White jeans.
So
That's from a while back.
Hagerman Wildlife Refuge up on the Texas-Oklahoma border, up by Texoma, they used to allow trail cams.
Okay.
And guys would put them out, and they were getting stolen, and then they would call and bitch to the refuge office. So finally, they said, "We're tired of hearing y'all bitch about your cams getting stolen." They banned them, and so
People
now
don't understand the repercussions of bitching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now
exactly.
you actually can't use trail cams up on public land right there on the refuge, which sucks because guys would throw trail cams up and get pictures of like 180, 190 inch bucks.
There's some
and-
giants up there, isn't there?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's downhill. It's
Yeah.
it's not what it used to be. I've hunted it for 15 years.
Okay.
Like I started putting in when I was 13.
Okay.
That was when you could first put in for it. And so I started putting in then. I don't think I ever actually got to hunt it until I was about 16 because the draw used to not have preference points way back when.
Yeah.
And the first time I hunted it, I saw 2 bucks over 150. And just right out of bow range or like not on my trail. Like that's how it's been for me every time hunting Hagerman. And the second time I hunted it, I didn't see any shooters that time. The third time I saw The 3 years ago, I saw one like 145, 150-inch 10-point. He walked by at 30 yards, only spot I didn't have a shooting lane.
Yeah.
And didn't see him again. And then this last time I hunted, it was awful. I didn't see a buck. The pigs have just overrun it.
Yeah.
This year, they had 3 hunts, 50 people each hunt. And I think they only killed like 3 bucks.
Oh, my
Really?
God.
I mean, if you look at that success rate,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
horrible.
That's not good.
not even a hunt that you want to put in for.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of trending that way.
Why,
Okay.
There's
why do you
just
think that is?
there's so many pigs.
Yeah.
It's just the
Too
pigs
pigs.
are they've
Back
just
to the
taken
old
over.
pig problem.
Yeah, I mean you've got pigs, and then you've got guys in there scouting all the time, pressuring the deer, pushing
So
them out.
can you go in there
Yeah, you can go in there.
even if you don't get drawn or
Yep.
anything?
You can't keep sheds. They won't let you take sheds, which I think that keeps a lot of guys. I'm sure a lot of guys take them anyway,
Right.
but that keeps a few guys out of there this time of year.
Yeah.
That aren't going in there shed hunting, but they. I don't know. It's just definitely something that's just kind of gone downhill, in my opinion. A lot of guys will say I'm stupid, and the big
Yeah.
deer are still there. But I mean, you just look at the numbers. If you got 150 guys in the woods and they're only killing like 3 or 4 bucks,
Right.
What does that tell you?
yeah, I mean,
Right.
there's a guy almost every decent spot out there.
Yeah.
If there were, the bucks that everybody remembers being out there, they'd be killing them.
Right.
Do you correlate years like this that seem to be pretty? I mean, from all the people I've talked to, for us personally, it was a pretty rough year on public land. We worked our tails off. We weren't really able to. We got some deer. We got a lot of deer on camera, but we were just not able to get in front of a ton of deer the entire year. Do you think that has a lot to do with the acorn crop, and do you think that ebbs and flows a lot with that? And I mean, obviously we're getting a bunch of rain again this spring, so it's setting up to be another boomer acorn crop year. So, I mean,
I mean, deer like acorns. If they can get in an acorn thicket and just sit there, eat, lay down, not even have to move.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
You're not
they're not
That's
going
what they're
to.
going to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, they're not just going to travel for the fun of it.
no, they're not moving to move. Like you said, they're not like elk who are moving to move. Plus, they just don't consume as much as an elk does, so they can stay kind of where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing that Cameron and I and we're all looking at this year as far as trying to scout for deer on public land is just really trying to locate places where you can get into where there's going to be food, and I feel like if we can get in on food, we're going to get in on deer and
Thick.
thick cover.
I think that's one of our
on the
biggest
edge
things.
of it, so we can get them coming and going.
I
Yep.
think that's one of our biggest things that we kind of did okay, but I mean that's probably one of my biggest takeaways.
Yeah.
Is just
exactly.
and so I mean when I was putting those cameras out, I
Yeah.
mean I was looking on the map trying to find the thickest. I mean I was belly crawling in some places, putting cameras up.
I feel like those are the kind of places too that you're going to be. People talk about getting away from individuals and going as far into public as they can go, but you don't need to go far if you can get in. Like we talked about with Josh on the podcast the other
It's
day.
like they can hide in that.
Yeah, if you can get into a place that's at the parking lot that's thick and that nobody's going to get into because it's too thick for them,
Yep.
you're going to get away from people.
Yeah.
So I think it's
But I think those deer are going to know those areas,
yeah.
and so it's going to be a year-round thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of the rut or whatever when they're moving a lot. But
Yeah.
that's
I'm
where your
definitely
cameras
gonna-
come into
play.
play.
I'm definitely going to deer hunt harder this year.
Yeah.
I mean, once duck season hits, it's a big old toss-up for me. But
Yeah. But we can head out in the morning and duck hunt and then go sit in the woods in the afternoon all day. About 9, 10 o'clock, get restless and go sit in the woods because all the big deer we got on camera didn't come in until 10
it's
10 to 3,
12.
12, 4 o'clock, so we
we were getting late flying ducks this year too.
yeah.
Like that first day I was out scouting at that.
That one
new
stand
spot.
you can hunt stands, you can hunt deer and ducks out of the same place.
It's true.
And you did. I did, and you came up behind me,
Uh-huh.
which was a story we were trying to tell at the live podcast, but we didn't. I don't think we were able to tell it. But the last day of deer season, we roll up to a boat ramp where I was putting my kayak in to go deer hunt with my bow, and there's Austin and his buddy putting in to go duck hunt. I was like, well, let's go. Oh no. I think I just may have thrown
just
something
went
in the
over
next. Yeah, oops. But
I think she's gonna give it back.
Shenanigans is taking place in the booth. But
It works.
we both put in with our kayaks, and then we just kind of like rolled down the river. And I was like, all right, well, this is some good place for some wood ducks. I'm gonna keep moving up the river, and I'm gonna go deer hunt. And probably about 10 o'clock, I'm sitting in the stand, and then all of a sudden I hear, "Ouch!" I look back, and there's Austin trying to shoot ducks.
Oh, hi.
And I was like, well, the season's over.
Because right when we came around that bend, I was like, there's Abe's boat. I bet it stands over here somewhere. Boom! I shoot a couple ducks, and then I see him getting out of a tree. I was like, oh, it's right there.
Right there.
There he is.
There he is. Yeah, so my deer season was over, which is all right.
that was the last weekend.
That was the last day of deer season. So I tried to hunt into the afternoon. I was like, I'm going to just sit here all day and see what I can see. And
Well, you shouldn't deer hunt next to a duck spot.
Yeah.
well, up and down that river is duck central for wood ducks
Yeah,
especially.
for sure.
And teal.
And teal. Yeah.
And wood duck. We already said wood ducks. And that's where I knocked down this gadwall, too.
And
Yep.
teal.
And teal.
And wood ducks.
And I think wood ducks as well. It was craziness. But, man.
I have a duck hunting question.
Okay.
Have you ever seen ducks on a moving river?
Mm-hmm.
Or hunted them on a moving river?
They'll kind of sit in the bows, you know.
Have you? But like
On moving water? Nah.
on moving water.
Nah.
So when I was in Montana this past weekend, we're driving around. Had a guy showing us around some public hunting areas, and one had this river going through it. Thousands of ducks, like thousands, and they were all in the river. They'd float down past us. We'd watch them go by, and they'd get up and fly back up river, land,
Float down?
and float down. It was like a
Interesting.
highway. It was weird. I don't know why they were doing it.
Well,
Fun.
people do that in Texas for
Yeah.
fun. Maybe the ducks
Maybe
are
the
just,
ducks
they're
are
just having a
fun.
good
The
time.
river float.
They were just
Yeah.
they were floating the Guadalupe. Did they have like a cooler stuck inside an inner tube with a car battery and some speakers on top of it?
There was geese mixed in with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What do you guys call geese? You got like confidence decoys, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You use crane, you use geese. Yep.
I want to go crane hunting this year
Me too.
really badly.
Yeah, I pretend like I was getting serious about doing crane hunting for this year. Didn't do it.
Didn't do it.
I'm going to say I'm going to do it next year.
I wouldn't even know how to hunt a crane.
Yeah, I know.
I
No
watched
clue
Meat
where to
Eater.
even start.
I watched Panassi
You
and
put out a bunch of decoys,
Ranella.
lay in a field, and
Yeah.
cross your fingers.
So it's like goose
Shitload-
hunting. So it's
yeah.
just like goose hunting.
Yeah,
It's
snow
pretty much
goose,
like
just
goose
just
hunting.
like snow goose hunting.
yeah.
Put out a bunch of gray. You put out gray flags.
Panassi takes and will take cranes he shot and make like
Yeah.
decoys.
Oh, I remember seeing
Stuffers.
Yeah. Stuffers.
That's crazy.
Stuffers. And I think one of the guys from the Meat Eater was like, this is like some like entry-level taxidermist who decided to get into taxidermy. So, but-
Speaking of overrated birds, it's almost turkey season.
oh yes, the thunder chicken. we Jordan and Drew, we were talking about Hagerman. Jordan drew Hagerman for turkey.
Did you?
Yep.
Nice.
You got any tidbits or tips for him?
What units are open?
All the units are
All
open
the units
for
are open for turkeys? No, I've actually never really seen many turkeys up there before. So I've never been.
There's your tip.
I've never been
Don't
looking.
go.
Don't go. Stay home.
Well, thanks, man. You didn't
Man, I'm glad we didn't put in for that.
Yeah. I don't feel like a jerk anymore.
No,
Awesome.
I didn't mean it that way. I've just always been. I've always been in the big
I
timber.
would like to get your attention, please.
Oh.
If I could have your full attention for just a moment.
We're getting yelled at here at the Fly
Please,
Fishing Festival.
There was two very important events that happened last night at midnight.
Uh-oh,
One,
two
affected
important-
Our clocks
both of
fell
us. That
backwards.
was the one that caused us to lose an hour's worth of sleep.
Boom.
But it also happened to be the day that Bo Beasley was born. So we wanted to just
Oh, that dude we
That's
met
that's
who
that
gave us
guy
beer
who came
tickets.
in and talked to us.
Birthday.
Yeah.
The folks at TFO have actually bought him a nice birthday cake. So let's all, if you don't mind, join me in singing Bo happy birthday.
Oh, we're doing this.
No, we're
This
not.
is awesome.
Happy birthday
That's not taking place in this booth.
to you.
We love you, Bo.
Happy
We appreciate being here.
We don't sing.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
We're not.
Cameron
No,
does.
Cameron, you are.
Way to mess it up, Cameron.
Happy birthday.
Cameron can't help himself. He's like, I know this song though.
But I know this song.
It's on my playlist.
He listens to this song all the time, just on repeat.
I like to go into Texas Roadhouse and tell them it's my birthday so I can ride the saddle
Every Friday.
Bet you do.
Friday.
You just have to go to a new one. They're like,
Every
"But
Friday
Cameron."
night.
I remember
Ride
you
saddle.
from last time.
Exactly.
Back to the Hagerman turkey. No,
See,
I probably haven't seen
This is why
any.
we have to have
I
a guest on
probably
this
haven't
podcast
seen
every
any,
week because somebody's got to be an adult.
I
Yeah.
think Casey Bones just
Just
walked
because
by.
I've always been like in the timber, like hunting whitetail, and so I've just never had any turkeys walk by.
Yeah, we're hardcore up for turkeys this year.
Yeah.
We're a turkeyless bunch. Cameron, have you shot a turkey before?
So no,
Good. So nobody shot a turkey.
So, no.
there's a story to that though.
Okay.
Okay.
I got real close one time in Tennessee, and
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
it's closer than y'all.
That's not true.
That's
No,
not true
that's
at all.
not true at all.
Dang it. Okay.
I've killed a lot of turkeys.
Yeah.
Except for JT.
Yeah, just use a blind.
I've got one
Like a
now.
little
Unless you're shotgun.
pop-up?
Oh, we were
Was it spot
shotgunning.
Yeah.
I have spot and stalked one turkey. I was up at Childress at my grandpa's. The turkeys were about 10 yards in front of the house.
Dude.
So I put my beer down.
And so I walked around the
Got a gun.
house,
Right out of the hot
and I
tub.
drew back, and I peeked over the side, and then shot him with my bow. Yeah,
No,
You were
so I
hiding
was-
behind the air conditioning unit. And,
yeah seriously. Yeah.
There was I was camping out at the back of this property, and I was there turkey hunt. I didn't wake up, so I woke up to them gobbling. Jumped out of the tent, and I kind of tell where they were. I literally ran to the hill I thought they were on, got down the bottom, and called them off the hill down to me, and a hen pulled them off me, like probably 10 yards before I could have shot.
That's the way it goes. Girls mess a lot of things up.
Biggest piece
You can
of
shoot at
advice.
10 yards, though.
Everything.
You can shoot at 10 yards. It would be all right.
10 yards before I could have shot.
Oh, okay. So like 80 yards.
The
I think he was
biggest
using a
piece
bow.
of-
Were you using bow hunting?
Yes, bow hunting.
Yeah. So you still had like 70 yards left to cover.
Yeah.
The biggest piece of advice I have for turkey is roost them the night before. Be in there and set up before daylight. Just let them fly down to you.
Okay.
Don't call a lot. Literally just hit your call once with just a couple of clucks before daylight or right when it's starting to get daylight. And if they gobble at you after you hit it once or twice, if they're gobbling at you from the tree, just stop
And they'll
touching
come
it.
down to you.
Yeah, they'll fly right down and walk
They're
in.
going to come investigate a little bit through you. So
That's how I've killed 90% of my turkeys.
it's put them on a roost, go to bed, wake up early, and get after it.
Yep.
And
And
I
I
mean,
mean,
how you do elk, if you can.
yeah, I mean, if you can go in there and hear an elk earlier in the
Elk
morning,
don't
you know,
roost.
yeah, they kind of they travel a little bit through the night. I mean, they're
Yeah.
I
chasing all
can't
night.
even, like,
so
No.
put an elk to the roost.
Put an elk, let it fly up into the tree.
And
Just
in the
fly
morning,
down where they're
when it
roosted.
flies down, you just shoot it in the face.
Shoot it in the face.
That's not an elk.
That's what he just told us. You don't know.
How do you know? Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate y'all having me on for a little bit.
thanks for coming.
JT, we're
Yeah,
looking
man,
forward
you
to sitting
ducking
down
outta
to
here.
you, and we'll get a full podcast
See you,
down
man.
at
Oh, yeah.
ASA in Paris, Texas, on April 5th through the 7th, I believe, right?
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah, first full weekend in April.
There you go.
Yep. Starting at Thursday, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be out the Thursday.
I think we're gonna have the booth Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Thursday's kind of a slow day, so.
Perfect.
But yeah, I think my father-in-law is ready to go. He bought him a fly fishing rod.
Uh-oh.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I think TFO
This has
suckered
gotten
him into
me.
something.
This has
This is-
gotten the itch too big to
There's
be
people
scratched
selling
now.
them.
Yeah. Dude, there's some badass
I'm
kayaks, there's
gonna
badass
do-
fly rods.
I'm gonna do
You see the
Sean.
coolers over there?
I've got a
Oh my
pile of
God.
those. I got 4 in my truck right now.
Dude,
if
I
wanna talk
can't
about
wait.
Coolers.
You scored us some good coolers, so.
No, I'm gonna do it right and go talk to Sean since he's been such a good guy. and
That's the way to do
supporter
it.
and yeah,
Yep.
Get Sean from Tailwaters
yeah.
to get you hooked up.
absolutely.
He'll get you set up with
So.
whatever.
Well, JT, we
Right.
appreciate it, my friend. Thank you very
buddy,
much.
We'll see y'all in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
You started it inadvertently, like hardcore, and went after it. I was so proud of you.
I'll do it again.
Do it.
Do it.
No, I can't do it on the spot.
Okay, so
I just got weird.
Stage fright.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll start it on the spot. Don't
Performance
worry.
anxiety.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Yes, absolutely. Performance anxiety. So, we're back here at the Texas Fly Fishing Festival with Chris Gorman from Kekoa Outdoors. Thanks for sitting down with us,
Yeah,
Chris.
how you guys doing today?
Pretty good. I feel like we've been bunkmates in this whole thing. You guys are right across from us, and I've just been, like, staring desperately at your booth like, man, I need to start doing that. I've watched you tie flies with grown-ass men all the way down to little bitty kids, and I think it's pretty cool to sit down and kind of see that whole thing go through, and you seem like you're a really good instructor with teaching people how to tie flies. And I've watched kids tie flies and go like, hey man, what's up on that fly? Post that on Instagram or something. I want to see that later, you know.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a little while, teaching veterans and kids and women and everybody on how to tie flies, and
yeah,
you know, it's been pretty cool.
So you guys were telling us a little bit about Kekoa Outdoors. What's the kind of the genesis of your organization, and what do you guys do?
What we do is our program is for disabled veterans, and the main focus of our program is education on building fly rods, tying flies, and then taking the veterans on outings.
Okay.
So we will cover the cost on all the expenses for the trip, you know, the lodging, the travel expenses, everything.
What it takes to get there and everything.
Yeah. And
That's
so
pretty cool.
we cook for them, and we invite the families along, because part of the healing process not only is doing these outdoor activities, but having your family there along with you to experience that stuff.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where you spend enough time away from your family doing kind of the veteran, what got you to be a veteran in the first place,
Right.
and then to kind of be able to do something with them in the outdoors is a great experience. So
yeah.
love what you guys do. It's a great mission to have, and I can't tell you, we applaud you enough, and for what you do. And
Well, the good thing about it is, you know, if you can get your family members, say your wife and your child, you know, involved and interested in the same thing you are, it makes it so much easier to be able to do that thing more often.
absolutely,
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
it's a great family thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
getting outdoors, spending time with each other.
Mm-hmm.
your family does it a bunch. I know you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
have gone on a couple trips as a group.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all head
family.
up to Montana a lot. It's
Well,
awesome.
we were in Yellowstone not even a year ago. Got Mom out there, and that's the big one, is getting Mom out there. But when you're in a place like that, it's there's a lot more to it than just fishing, you know. I mean, scenery's beautiful. She just had a ball. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're wading in cold water, and a lot of women would, you know,
I'm out.
yeah, she's just right there loving it, you
Yeah.
know.
But we try to make it as easy, you know, for your wife or child to get involved with it. You know, we'll send you off with someone, a guide, to help you out, and then
Yeah.
someone will take your wife underneath their wing and show them how to cast, and
Yeah.
because it's tough, you know, to try and teach your wife how to cast and be patient, and
Yeah.
she's trying to be patient with you, and you know, we've seen a lot of
Yes.
Yeah.
drama on the river.
Oh, I can
Spousal
imagine.
arguments.
Yes. So
Domestic
You're doing it
violence.
wrong.
Anything you had to report?
no reports.
Yeah, no reports.
But you know, if we can make the initial part of it, the learning, separate and easy, then it's so much better.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
then
Imagine.
later on, they can enjoy each other's company when the pressure's off.
Yeah, when they can go out by themselves and
Yeah.
kind of do it themselves and
Right.
kind of have a good time doing it.
Right.
I feel like it's one of those things that's it's an intimidating. I think it's a lot like bow hunting. We're like, some of us are new to fly fishing here,
Mhm.
and you know, Cameron's been a fly fisherman for a long time, and the three of us, Jordan and Austin and myself, are trying to get into it more and more. And it seems like it's super intimidating, but I feel like it's one of those things that's just, it seems like it's super intimidating. And then you get into it, and
Yeah.
you're like, you know, am I going to be, you know,
Right.
catching giant fish constantly? No, but I can go, and I feel like I can cast, and I feel like I may be able to catch some fish
Right.
and have a good time. And I think just knowing that, like learning to understand that fly fishing is not all about chasing salmon. It's not all about chasing trout. You can go catch bluegills. You can go catch bass. You know, for us in Texas, you know,
Yep.
there's not a lot of places to go chase trout.
Right.
in Texas. I mean, we've got Oklahoma,
Broken
It's
Bow,
close.
man.
Yeah, Broken
Arkansas,
Bow.
that's pretty
I
close.
love it up there.
The
Yeah,
Guadalupe,
me too.
I know, but
Well, here in the winter, the Texas Parks Department, they stock a lot of these city
Local-
ponds around
yeah.
here. They publish all that information. The tail waters down there at Louisville Lake, the
Yep.
tail race, they stock that full of trout in the winter.
yeah,
That's a pretty cool stretch of river too.
Yeah.
It's not long, but I mean,
South side of Louisville?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
it's a big park down there.
Okay.
What's
I
the
didn't
name
know
of that?
that.
They
park? I
have
forgot.
the Texas Outdoor Education. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but they've got a
It's
like an
UNT
outdoor learning.
owns the land,
Yeah.
or they rent it or
Okay.
something.
Yeah.
it's pretty neat. I think anytime you can get somebody in the outdoors and do something different. I mean, we've all kind of gotten more into it just from being at the fly fishing festival here, just being like, we need to do this. And like I said, watching you tie flies, I recently was gifted a fly tying rig from a very close friend of mine, and he was like, "This is collecting dust. I just don't do it anymore. Like, here you go." And so he gave me a bunch of material, but I'm looking over there going, "Man, I need to." You got a bunch of stuff over there.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to use it, so I'm looking forward to just kind of like YouTube and reaching out to guys like you and just kind of
What I like
making
about
mistakes.
being able to tie flies yourself is that every situation's different.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could see a certain situation or know a piece of water and have an idea in your
Right.
head of what would work, and they may not make something like that,
But you can.
but you could
Right.
you can tie it yourself. You can say, I want to make a woolly booger with this color head or
Right.
just whatever.
Well, there's a lot of stream entomology that goes into it. So you can, when you're in the water, you can flip over the rocks and kind of see what kind of bugs are in there and the size and color. When you catch a trout, you can pump its stomach and pull out its contents and see what they're feeding on, and you can switch your flies up to that. There's a lot of different ways that you can read the water and read the fish and figure out what they're feeding on. That way you're a little more successful. But,
Yeah.
it seems like the sport of trout fishing or fly fishing can be intimidating and, kind of snooty,
Sure.
because, there's a lot of really expensive stuff out there. But,
Absolutely.
to get into it, you don't have to have a $500 rod and a $400 reel and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can go over and pick up, a $100 setup from Bass Pro or Cabela's and go out and do it.
Yeah.
You'll be successful.
I feel like that's the biggest thing is just going out. I think that's the entry level barrier of just taking somebody and going, stop worrying about everything you've got going on and just go out and do it. Just
Right,
go
right.
go make a bunch of mistakes. Go get something caught up in a tree so bad that you're going to
Yeah.
cut the line and just start over.
Yeah.
And we were talking to these guys in the booth next to us about casting just in your backyard, right? And they were like, "That's the best place to go and learn."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I have a backyard that doesn't have a lot of open space." They're like, "That's a better place to do it than anything because guess what? You're not on the water. You get caught in the tree, put a ladder in the tree, untangle everything, get it out. But then it teaches you how to cast around trees, how to cast around things, and I think it's so intimidating for people in this state to try to get through that. But when you just do it, it's just like public land hunting. We've been sitting at this BHA booth the entire weekend talking to people about public hunting land, public fishing land in the state, and so many people are kind of intimidated by, well, I mean, that's something out west. That's not something that's here in the state, and we've all gone through that, but I feel like we've all kind of pushed through that, and now we're like, man, you could go out there and you could be by yourself. I mean, Cameron and I were out hunting 60-plus days this year, and we dealt with maybe 2 dudes really, that we walked up on us. So
Really?
to have that experience in Texas within an hour of Dallas, I mean, it's not like we're hunting an hour out of a little town. We're hunting outside of Dallas. We ran into 2 dudes. Now, in the parking lot, we ran into a bunch of guys, but that's it.
Yeah.
You left the
Everybody
parking lot,
splits
and you're gone, you know?
goes their way.
And it's the same thing with the duck hunting thing. I feel like we ran into a bunch of people that one time
There's
we
always
duck
a
hunted.
handful of people out, but 99% of them are all respectful, and you know it's first come first serve. But everybody respects that. So if they get out and I'm paddling out and I run up a guy in the spot I want to hunt, such is it. It's not. I mean, I should have gotten up earlier.
Yeah,
exactly.
So when you're on a lease, they say 100 acres per person, right?
Yeah.
We were never even close to that
No.
hunting this year. So
Really?
it's really not as bad as people make it out to be.
No.
See, we have land in Oklahoma that we use for our program. We've got 583 acres just outside of Tulsa. And, we take people out there, and I've been used to hunting out there, and, you go in, you lock the gate, and you don't see anybody else. We moved here about a year and a half ago to Texas, and that's one thing that I've really, felt like there's nothing available to me to hunt unless you want to pay a bunch of money for a lease or somebody who knows somebody whose dad will let you on their grandfather's property, So I really would like to find those public land hunting areas, one for myself and two for our program, to get the veterans out there.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
So
I mean, if you want to go chase pigs, you can.
Yeah.
There, you can throw a rock out the door.
Yeah.
And find a place. But I think it's just about. I feel like so many people just don't know because they just don't even know where to start, and I feel like it parallels a lot of the fly fishing thing, right?
Yeah.
Some people are like, it seems like it would be a lot of fun to do, very cool. I just don't even know where to start.
Right.
So I'm just not going to do it, and I'm just going to go out and do this kind of traditional style of fishing that I've always done.
Yeah.
And they just never venture out of that comfort zone, and I think a lot of people have a hard time getting into that place of being super uncomfortable with something and not knowing and making a bunch of mistakes. And
yeah, I had a funny story from this year, this deer season. I wasn't planning on going back to Oklahoma a whole lot to do any hunting. We're trying to get this thing up and going. So I was trying to find a spot around my house in Melissa. There's a lot of open land out there. So I got that hunting app, the X-Hunt or
Onyx.
Onyx.
Yeah, right. So I'm on that app, and I'm finding all these landowners and stuff. So by my house, there was this section of land that was owned by McKinney Utility District or something like that. So I'm thinking, all right, this is some city land. I'll just go out there in the woods and
I'm good.
Yeah, no problem. So I roll out there and I dump a bag of feed on, put the camera up and leave it out there. And anyways, I come back a couple weeks later and there's a note on the tree from a game warden saying that I'm trespassing and if I want my camera to give him a call or whatever. So I ended up giving him a call. And he's telling me how I was trespassing, and I was trying to explain to him, this was city property, and there's no trespassing signs posted. I didn't cross any fences.
No.
Didn't do anything
No
that.
purple paint.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that constituted trespassing by the law. But anyways, he's still got my camera. I haven't met up with him to go get it yet, but I kind of learned my lesson there, and that it turned me off for a little bit, but. Trying to overcome it and find some places where I can legally go hunt.
Well, there's no doubt we can. The part of this podcast is all about trying to help people get out in the outdoors and really with the public land thing. And it is intimidating because it's like, well, what can I do? What can I do? What can I not do?
Right.
So we try to help people out with that. And I mean, the biggest thing I could say is get that $48 annual public hunting land permit. Mm-hmm. It'll give you the book. Where you can kind of go and can't go. And then you'll kind of start to learn, like we've learned, that book gives you a lot of good places to go, but then there's Corps of Engineer land. There's national and federal grasslands that you can go out to as well. So I think once you get that down, I think that's the biggest barrier, and then you're good to go. Because then you've got, oh, wow, there's a bunch of places here. I'll go out here, and all of a sudden you go out to a place that's 5,000 acres and well, I don't even know how to explore all of this. I don't even have the time to explore all this. And you get exactly what you need. And there's a bunch of deer, there's a bunch of pigs, there's turkeys, there's all kinds of things. So as far as your organization, what kind of tell us a funny story about going out with a bunch of people and what you've seen. And
well, anytime you get a group of veterans together. I mean, it can be a handful.
I was going to say it's probably not PG.
No, it's definitely not PG.
Knowing the veterans that are in my family, it's not PG.
When we do have the guys trip, when it's just us, it can it
gets wordy.
Yeah, it's we have the late nights and some beers by the fire and we have a really good time. That camaraderie with everybody and everybody in our group, the guy, it's a huge family.
Sure.
You know, I've had the same people in our group for the last 6 years, and we just keep adding. We don't ever lose anybody.
Yeah.
We just keep
awesome.
adding, and we've got about 40 guys in the group right now, and some of their wives were active duty and they're in it, and it's a fantastic group.
Well, man, I know, speaking for all of us, it's a great honor to sit down with somebody who does that kind of work, selfless work, to give back to those guys especially, because they've gone through so much and sacrificed a lot. And more importantly, not just them. I know they are, or that the person who served in the military is ultimately somebody we like to give back to, but it's really the other people that are involved in that family. It's the kids, it's the wife, it's the husband, it's whoever has to deal with it, who's having to sit there. Well, hopefully, this person comes home, and that's a lot of stress to go through as well, so.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised at how many wives will contact me directly for their husband, because their husband won't take that first step. And the wife will contact me and say, hey, my husband, he doesn't like to get out, he doesn't like to do these things. Is there anything I can do to help him?
Yeah.
And, we'll work with them slowly. I've had the wife and husband come together at the beginning until he gets comfortable. And I had one like that, and now he's running the program in Tulsa. He wouldn't leave the house. And now he's the man in charge of the program doing everything.
That's awesome.
So, he's made a full circle. And, there's been multiple people that have said, 5 words that are just incredible to us, and that's, this program saved my life.
I can't even imagine having that kind of a thing,
Yeah.
That's what it's for. That's what it must be all about for you. It's just kind of, I don't care what I do with my life, but this is really fun to have somebody be this thankful, and for me to be able to give this to somebody as a gift, so.
You don't realize when you're doing this what it's doing for the other person.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun doing what I love. I'm tying flies. I'm making custom rods. I'm teaching people these skills that I enjoy. And you don't realize the impact that it has on their life, until someone actually says it to you, and you're just like, man, I never even knew that.
I mean,
you're blown away by it.
Yeah.
And I love it. And that's
it's
why
a cool
we do
way
it.
to spend a weekend sitting at a table tying flies with people. And I think, like you said, your setup is so cool. And I've talked to we've had a bunch of people come by the booth and just kind of be like, it's so neat to see what you guys are doing over there, and just the ability for you to sit down and just have somebody kind of just, all right, here's what you do. And I've seen a dozen kids come through that table over there and tie flies, and for us as our podcast and with backcountry hunters and anglers, to have kids get involved, that's one of the biggest things I enjoy seeing is getting these kids out here, because they're the future of it for all of us, and making sure that they know how to do it and that they want to come and do it, and they're so excited. I watched a family just hang out while their son tied flies over at your table, and they were just killing time over there. Well, our kid's just tying flies, and I was like, awesome. Well, we'll tell you what we're doing here, and it was very cool to see. So
if your kid shows interest in anything outdoors, God, get them out there. There is so much stuff to keep kids indoors nowadays. With social media and their phones and
the Xbox.
God, everything. Yeah. If there's a slight bit of interest, man, push them in that direction.
It's just so much healthier.
Absolutely.
So, well, as far as tying flies and things like that, do you have any advice for people? And how about just getting into fly fishing in general? For a couple newbies, but for anybody out there listening who's like, wow, it seems like a fun thing to do. What's some ways to get involved with not only fly fishing, but maybe even creating and tying flies?
Creating flies, it can seem intimidating, but it's really not. There's a lot of real simple, inexpensive materials that you can use. The most expensive thing is probably the hook, and you get 25 of them for probably $6.
Okay.
You're looking at some dead chicken parts for $3 or $4.
That's not bad.
Yeah. And you can tie a bunch of flies with that. You'll be with whatever you buy, you'll be able to tie all 25 of those hooks.
Okay.
There's a lot of videos on YouTube. We're putting together our YouTube channel right now, and we're going to be doing fly tying videos. You can take a Orvis class. Orvis puts them on. They've got an Orvis 101 for casting and fly tying.
Okay.
They've got a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of different places that you can look at for information, but man, YouTube
is your best friend.
It's got everything you need for fly tying. There are so many fly tying videos out there.
Yeah.
Pretty detailed ones too.
Yeah.
I mean, they get right down to it. I mean, step by step. I mean, everything.
Yeah, they'll list out, like a cooking recipe. They'll tell you everything you need and walk you through it step by step.
All it takes is a couple times to get the hang of it,
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one of those things that it's like painting. You kind of learn how to paint a little bit, and then you're like, oh, well, I can use this color or that color or this thing or that thing, and you just kind of collect techniques for how you do things, and you kind of go from there. So.
And there's techniques that you learn in the process that apply, all across these different patterns. So the way you wrap the hackle and the way you size the tail and that kind of thing. Once you learn that on some basic flies, it applies to a lot of different things that you tie. So
I think it's fascinating, and the custom rod thing is also pretty cool. To me.
That one. Yeah, that one fascinates me.
I was going to say, Cameron of all people seems like a custom rod kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's pretty handy. And
hard.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Said you can tell because you're breathing hard.
He's excited.
Okay, here we go.
He gets excited.
Here we go. No, I mean, you get rod blanks. Okay, so I was trying to explain this to him a minute ago. $150 rod versus a $800 rod.
Yes.
So my explanation to him is that in bass rods, you can get all these different actions in one price point.
Right.
Okay. Fly rods is not that. If you want a fast tip, 8-weight with a good backbone on it, you're going to be up in the upper price point.
Right.
So when you get into custom rods and you can pick your rod blanks, are you limited to price point for action, or does it get more into can you get a better action for better price and then go higher quality on like your eyelets and reel seat and grip and all that?
Well, with the custom rods, we can do any price point. So you don't have to spend, $800 to $1,000 for a custom rod. I can get blanks and kits to build you a decent rod in the $250, $300 range. It'll be limited to the, your options, but the way the rod actions work, it's mainly by weight. So you have, 1 weight, 2 weight, 3 weight, and so on. And that depends on the type of fish that you're going to be going for. 5-weight rod is a good all-around rod for trout. 8-weight's a good all-around rod for bass. Then they have different actions. So you can get a moderate action, which is going to bend lower in the rod and be a slower action. They have fast tip fly rods, just like, the bass rods. But, for someone starting out to learn how to cast, you want a slower action rod.
Right.
You don't want to go with the fast tip because they're more difficult to cast for someone starting out. You can choose. I do custom turned cork handles. I turn them on a lathe and, do all kinds of different designs with the cork. And
so what makes good cork and bad cork?
So they have different grades of cork, and it's basically the pitting that's in the wood.
Okay.
So cork comes from Portugal. It's a cork tree. And they have different grades. It goes, you got a common grade all the way up to I think it's like 4A grade or something like that. And it's the amount of pits in the cork. Okay. So, the super high grade like I have over there on that Epic blank, it's a 4A, and it's it's like solid tan. There's no dark pitting in it or anything.
Really?
I mean, it's a really nice cork.
That's cool.
But there's things you can do also with a lower grade cork. I can fill it and sand it and can't even tell and make it look good. So the custom rod, the term custom kind of scares people away because, oh God, it's going to be expensive, but that's not the case. We can do anything
like
you need.
You could, kind of like anything, like maybe building an AR or something,
Yeah,
you can get a better quality for, a little better price point,
Yep.
If you're willing to put in a little sweat equity.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you may not get a $100 rod from Cabela's, but if you, $250 range, you could get a much higher quality rod in which you can just go
You're going
buy.
to get a $400, $500, $600 rod for $250, $300.
Well, this Epic that I'm building over there, they sell their studio-built rods for $875.
Yeah.
And I do the same rod, same quality of work, everything for $625.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm going to save you some money.
Yeah.
And you get the rod you want. So.
And you're gonna get to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So what about clear coat on rod blanks and stuff? Can you, how do I say this? Can you affect the action of the rod with clear coat?
No.
No.
All that's doing is just protecting the thread wrap around the guide foot. There's different qualities of that finish.
Mm-hmm.
Some that'll be affected by UV and it'll yellow out in the sun. I use a product called Rod Dancer finish, and that's the best one that I've used. I've used several different types, and I'm really happy with that one.
That's cool.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. I wish I knew more about.
Yeah, this is all outside of my wheelhouse.
The thread I'm using right now is a Japanese silk thread on this Epic rod that I have over there. And when you put the finish on it, it absorbs into that Japanese silk, and that natural color just completely turns translucent. You can't even see the thread anymore. It looks like there isn't any thread.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool. So
that's
it looks like the guide foot is just sitting there on the rod.
There?
Yeah.
Wow. I gotta look at that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I gotta go check that out.
That's pretty
So
neat.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
No. Eyelets.
Yeah.
I mean, what makes a good eyelet versus a bad eyelet?
Well, just like a bass rod, the ring insert, you can get all different types of inserts in there, from ceramic to, I forget the name of it, but it's got like a gold and ceramic mixed together. On fly rods, you typically use snake guides, so there's no insert. It's kind of a 2-footed, just kind of a hoop that it goes through. This rod over here, it's got an agate guide. It's a stone guide. It's actually jade.
Wow.
It's a really cool with a nickel silver housing that goes around it. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean you can get super fancy, or you can
strip it down and be
it's just it's just whatever you want to do. That's what's the custom part about it is you can get as crazy with it or as budget friendly as possible. So
that's awesome.
Sounds pretty neat.
Yeah.
I was just going to go into. You got all your rod questions out of the way?
Let me think for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Wait. For the moment.
Wait. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to get into. So y'all do all this stuff for veterans and all that stuff, and anyone listening. How does your company actually work within? If someone wants to help out or do anything like that, like is there opportunity, like donation, like how do y'all work?
Right. So we're always looking for volunteers. We need people that can be the support person next to them when they're fly fishing. You don't necessarily need to be a guide or have a ton of experience. Sometimes it's just someone there standing next to them, someone to talk to while they're fishing. We've got people with fly tying experience that can help out. We'll have a class of 10 people in there, and I'll have my camera and screen and stuff, but people walking around, kind of helping someone that's struggling with that. If you want to get involved and volunteer, you can find us on Facebook right now. It's Kekoa Outdoors Inc. On Facebook, and then same thing on Instagram. Our website is being developed right now. We're about 90 days out on having that finished, but it'll be kekoaoutdoors.org. I can give you guys my contact information as far as phone number and email. And people can get a hold of me that way. Now, people that want to be in the program, all they have to be is a disabled veteran. And we'll get you going. We've got rod building classes, we've got fly tying classes, and then we've got the outings. So.
Yeah. It seems like I said, I'm super excited to get to know you guys. I'm glad we got to share. Like I said, we were bunk mates for this whole thing at Texas Fly Fishing Festival, and I'm looking forward to being able to help you guys out in any way possible and do whatever we can to assist in getting people involved from both the volunteer side of things as well as any type of veteran who's saying, yeah, I'd like to do this.
Right.
I've never tied a fly.
Yeah.
Let's do it, So, well, Chris, we can't thank you enough for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Is there anything you can think of that you want to add to any of this, or anything you want to pop out there?
The only thing I would add is for the veterans out there that are listening to this, don't be scared to ask for help.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, and it can be as much or as little as you need. We can ease into it, or you can jump with both feet, man.
Yeah.
But if you need the help, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah. Great advice.
Yep.
So, well, Chris, we will make sure all of your information is included in the show notes for this. So if anybody is interested, knows somebody who could benefit from this or can help out with this,
right?
We'll have all of that information in the show notes, and as we post this up on our social media, you will be tagged on everything. So people, please reach out to these guys. They're great. Great organization and good people. So we appreciate you joining us, Chris.
All right.
Have a good one, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kekoa Outdoors, guys.
All right,
Thank
guys,
you. We're back again, and we are joined this time by, once again, another bunkmate at the Texas Fly Fishing Festival. So you guys, next year, because it's over for this year, but next year you got to come out to this thing. It's a lot of fun. Whether you're a fly fisherman or not, as long as you enjoy the outdoors, there's going to be someone here that's going to be able to help you either A, get in the outdoors, or if you're already in the outdoors, take your experience to another level. So we're joined by Tim from Eagle's Nest Fly Shack and Lodge. You guys are out of New Mexico, right?
Correct. We are just located about 30 miles outside of Taos, pretty close to the Colorado border.
Oh, wow. So you guys, I've been enamored by watching you've got a beautiful booth set up, and you have a video that's playing in your booth about catching pike on flies. And so, do you guys do a lot of pike, or what? I mean, what do you guys do from a species of fish? Do you specialize in pike, or do you go after anything and everything?
Well, our outfitting service, we target whatever's fishing good. Trout fishing is always a big part for all of us. That's what gets us into fly fishing. I think a lot of people really get hooked, and when you think fly fishing, you think trout. You think a beautiful stream, dry flies, nymphs. We're starting to try to change that perception. The pike fishing has been pretty amazing. We're lucky to live on a lake that these fish average 15 pounds. They're really big. They're in a perfect ecosystem for them, and they're growing fast. They've only been in this lake for about 12 years, so that's given us an opportunity to branch away from trout and be able to introduce fly fishing to other species. And you don't just need to be throwing nymphs and dry flies and small streamers. We can get into those bigger freshwater fish and have a great time with them.
What's it like catching a pike? Which, I mean, I've seen the video you guys have. You guys are catching some giant fish. So, what's that like catching it on a fly rod?
It is one of the most exhilarating experiences on a fly rod. You can feel your heartbeat hit your ribs. It's awesome. It's when they hit that fly, it is like someone runs at your fly rod and just tries to take off with your fly.
I can't imagine.
It is awesome. It's something that everyone needs to dip their hand in. It is a tougher style of fishing. I can say that I've been fishing consecutively for pike for 10 years, and this year I plan on fishing over 200 days just for pike. So I dedicate a lot of time to these fish. And during that, there's days where you don't get a take, where you don't get a bite. But as you saw in that video you were mentioning, there's big fish, and when they take, you'll fish for a whole week just to get that day.
It makes up for those days of not catching one.
The slow days mean nothing when you're finally hooked up to one of those things. So it's pretty awesome. The pike fishing in general, we have a lot of people that once they've started doing it, they've kind of went headfirst into it, buying every brand of 8-weight, 10-weight, 12-weight rod, and fishing for muskie, fishing for pike is starting to become a really big category in our fly fishing industry.
We were recently told we're real good friends with Sean over at Tailwaters here in Dallas, and he was telling us we should go down to Dangerfield State Park over in East Texas and go chase chain pickerel. Yeah. and,
for
which
sure.
is, I guess, a southern species of the pike.
It's a cousin of the pike.
Cousin of the pike,
They can grow to some decent sizes, and you can get some nice chain pickerel. I've caught them before, and they're aggressive fish. They'll chase down your lure right to your feet, and they have no fear. They can be right next to you, and they're more worried about getting that meal. And if it runs in between your legs, they'll go for it.
That's pretty neat. So, how long have you been out and just guiding and doing the fishing thing? I mean, basically all your life, I'm sure, but like professionally, how long have you been doing that?
I've been tying commercially for 10 years, and I've been guiding for 12.
Okay.
I started guiding in the San Juan River below Navajo Dam in New Mexico. One of the best tailwaters on the planet, and it is amazing fishery, but it gets a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people there.
My dad likes to go over there.
It's amazing. It's a yearly trip for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm one that takes one. And with that one being one of the cases, I was also guiding in Southern Rockies, Breckenridge, Durango area. I got a chance to fish a lot of water, and the crowds, they can get heavy during the summer. During those summer months, they can get pretty heavy. And one reason I ended up in Eagle Nest is because in the middle of July, the crowds are half of what they are in some of those popular places. Like the San Juan, guiding in July, you get cut off by boats. You get hung up with other fishermen. I mean, it gets crazy in those summer months.
Fun.
Yeah, and a lot of the times people, you try to plan it during the week and miss the crowds. But luckily in our area, even on the weekends, it doesn't have heavy pressure. It's an area that people are just learning about. Our trout fishing is really good, some of the best in New Mexico. And as far as dry fly fishing goes, we have rivers like the Rio Grande, the Costilla River, and the Red River that have been featured in many magazines every couple of years. And very good, very healthy fisheries. Our Trout Unlimited group has done a lot to improve them. We're working on catch and release stretches for the Rio Grande and the Red River. So with that being the case, we're just going to be increasing numbers of fish and sizes. And then with the variety of the pike in the area, that's really throwing a big game changer. People are loving this pike game once they're getting into it.
I feel like that's one of those things that you get addicted to, and you're just like, what is this? And you go and do it, and you're like, oh my God.
That's something I've been real curious about for a while, because I learned to fly fish on the coast, chasing reds, and so, pike and muskie fishing is fits right there in with it,
Throwing the same big stuff, colorful, and big takes, and I'm actually going fishing for redfish this weekend for my first time.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm pumped about it, but Corpus Christi.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, I'm going with a good friend of mine. He's actually guiding all week, so he should
so you're going to be fishing Matagorda Bay System.
Yes.
You'll love it. It's beautiful.
I'm pumped about it. I'm looking so forward to it. The pike fishing, like you're saying, it runs in that line. I've heard a lot of people tell me it's a lot like red fishing, and it's something that definitely dip into. And you don't have to go to Alaska. You don't got to go to Canada to get trophy pike. That's what I'm trying to advertise with this lake.
I mean,
in our lake, we're lucky right now. We're averaging 35 inches.
Oh wow!
And that's average. If we get something under 30, that's a tiny fish for us. This year we saw fish over 45 inches, and it's a young pike ecosystem right now. So our state record is around 56 inches right now, and we're predicting our new state record comes out of our lake, comes out of Eagle Nest Lake.
So with numbers like that, you got to think that there's one in there that's like just not bit yet. That is going to bite, and you're going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah, we've seen some monster fish that we haven't touched. That those ones where you are like just betting how big it was, and there are some big ones in there. And whoever brings out that big state record, I think it'll come out of that lake, and it's going to be a fight, whoever does get it.
Generally speaking, what kind of habitat do they seek out?
Our lake, we have rocky, deep cliffs. It gets to about 140 feet deep when it's completely full. A lot of variety, a lot of different structure. In the rocky structure, they can be found there during certain times of year, but for the most part, they hover around grass beds. They're either in the grass beds or they're just on the edge of the drop-off of the grass bed. We have yellow perch that they hang out in these grass beds very heavily. And when the pike season really turns on, those perch disappear.
They're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, the big fish.
The wolves are out.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, you go from catching 60 perch in a couple hours to nothing, and that's how you know you're getting close to your pike. That's how you know you're getting to them. Right now, our spring season is kicking off from ice out to about June till after they spawn are really productive times to fish. We see some pretty large females, pretty large fish come out during that post-spawn and pre-spawn. And then our other best time of the year is in October, November. The months right around that are pretty amazing too. So, it's a pretty amazing fish. It's something that a lot of lakes right now there's places you hear that are paying people to take these fish out because they're looked at as a nuisance. Personally, from our point of view,
Sign me up.
Yeah. and personally, from our point of view, a lot of people are starting to change that mindset a little bit. I mean, personally myself, I'd rather catch a 40-inch pike than any trout. And when pike season's on, our guides are specifically saying, what's a trout?
What's a trout? Oh, that thing.
So, you mean a fly?
Oh,
like a trout fly?
Thing.
So
that's cool.
it's definitely something that we're starting to get really addicted to, and in our lake, it's something that we want to start a conversation about, maybe pike conservation instead of, and they seem to be living
in front
well.
of it,
They seem to be living really well with our trout. Our trout average 20 inches and over. So, I mean, it's a very
solid.
healthy ecosystem.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Eagles Nest Red River.
Yeah.
It's great fishing.
It's a beautiful area. I mean, there's more animals than people. It's a beautiful place. And
sounds like my kind of place.
That sounds exactly like the kind of place.
It's a beautiful place. And, out on that lake, they seem to be fishing very well with mixing well with our trout, our salmon, and our pike. And then we have other lakes in New Mexico where specifically we're stocking 30-inch tiger muskie, 40-inch tiger muskie, and they're living with 20 to 30-inch trout.
Wow.
And so this is starting to become a proven concept that as long as we have sustainable fish, these pike will live peacefully away from the trout. Our ecosystem's perfect. We have so much perch, so much carp and suckerfish.
Well, they kind of have lake trout and pike muskie. They kind of live in two different areas, don't they? I mean, so they're not. On rare occasion, you might have them preying on the trout, but they're not typically going to go to that real deep water, right?
They're not going to work that hard to get a fish. Really, they want an easier meal. They want a suckerfish that. We've seen it. We've walked up on a suckerfish, and it stood there until you almost stepped on it. And because they're just not as smart of a fish. So in that ecosystem that we have, you're exactly right. Our trout are in our deeper water. Trout have to move for oxygen, so they're constantly on the go. They're a very spooky fish, so they'll spook from I've seen trout spook away from carp and other trout. So they're not on the top of the list for a pike to eat because it's hard work. These pike are ambush predators. They want something already in the grass bed with them, slow moving, sitting right in front of them, and that's usually a perch. It's usually a suckerfish
or a fly.
Or in our case, a big slab of fly.
That'd be awesome.
And the flies we're throwing for these things, we're throwing them on 6/0 hooks. This year, we were straightening out 3/0 hooks on some of these fish.
Oh, wow.
And we lost some really big potential fish because of those 3/0 hooks coming out.
Some lessons learned.
Straight. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. And once they're getting over this 30-inch class, it's just really tough bone. They're really starting to develop into an adult fish. So bigger flies, bigger hooks, bigger rods. We usually use a 6-weight to a 10-weight. It's just explosive fishing.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's worth all the slow days in the world. And we get a lot of pike fishermen that come through our area that we've taken either on trips or that just come through, and they say the same thing. They'll say, "I'll fish all week for one fish."
Yeah,
so,
I've heard that about it.
Yeah, but when it's on, it's on. Our lake is a pretty amazing lake. We have another one close by as well. And as I was mentioning, spring and fall can really increase your chances. I gave a presentation today here at the event, and that was one of the points I touched on, or the best ways to increase your chances for a pike is by choosing the right time of year, and then your lure selection, and practice your cast before you show up. If you can get a 100-foot cast, you want it.
Yeah.
And if you can, even if it's not accurate, the further you get out there, the better. You get more fish's attention. And
Sure.
We have some video on our website and on our YouTube channel showing a retrieve, a 100-foot retrieve with 5 different fish taking swings at my fly as I missed each take. So, and they would come out of the weed beds. We have our drone right above it showing it. So,
oh wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we have some pretty cool stuff. We have a lot of really good video that we're working out, a lot of good content just for entertainment value.
Absolutely.
You know, just to kind of give people some fish porn out there. Kind of get you excited and pumped out about the species of the fish.
Who doesn't like that?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a sucker for it here locally. I'm addicted to fish porn and watching crappie get yanked out of the river right now. So
yeah, my feeds are right now. I came in January and fished the Guadalupe, and ever since then my feeds are just covered with bass and stripers and white bass. And now this week I'm excited. We're gonna fish the Guadalupe again above Canyon Reservoir, and
because the white bass for sure running like crazy right now.
Yeah,
this is
this
the time
warm
of the year.
spell. They're going to be up there.
This is it.
We're
That's
actually
where we're going after this.
We're leaving here
down
to
the
go
creek.
to go fish in the creek.
As soon as we pack up.
Oh man, you guys give me your number. I'm going to be there all week, man.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, give me your number. We'll have to hang out. Yeah.
So
You've been here in DFW all week?
Yeah. I'm staying. We're going to go to right above Canyon Reservoir. I'm staying with a friend at his house, and I got kayaks, so we're kind of
we do.
That's what we do.
Yeah, I got 3 Jackson kayaks on the truck right now, so we're ready to go, man. Whether it's on the lake, and I told him if the river's slow, let's go hit the lake. I mean, I got every rod and every type of line
I'll
set
figure it out.
up, man. Yeah, they're already all built, ready to go. They're sticking out of the bed of the truck pretty much.
I like your style.
Yeah, it's pretty style. So, as far as like if somebody wanted to come with you guys do some guided trips and some lodging and stuff like that. So how would we find out about you on the internet?
Our website, eaglenestflyshack.com, or if you look up fly fishing New Mexico in general, we are like one top 3 results. Our website has a lot of content. We're about to launch a new website, which is going to be more integrated just to give people information about fishing, whether you're building leaders for bass, pike, trout. We're also going to do fly tying videos, knot videos, product reviews. So we'll be building a lot more information through our website, our Facebook on Eagle Nest Fly Shack, our Instagram, Eagle Nest Fly Shack. We're fishing 5 to 7 days a week when we're out there.
Sounds like a brutal existence, I'll be honest with you.
Someone has to do it, and
it's awesome. I really appreciate your sacrifice, Tim.
And I'm not gonna lie though, it does get tiring. I'm not gonna lie.
I can understand that.
I think we all know after a day of fishing you're tired.
You're tired,
if you do it 7 days, you kind of feel bad
you're
at the end of the week.
I'm over this. This is great.
Just a little bit.
There's a few days.
A little bit
good.
Yeah. It's a good bad, but
it's a good bad.
But sometimes there's days where I'm like, I love fishing, but it hurts, and I'm going.
I'm doing this.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna do it.
I don't like doing this, but I'm gonna do it.
But I love it.
But I love it. Yeah.
So
and then you go to bed dreaming about it, and you're like, oh, how much longer till I have to wake up and do this again? Let's go do it.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to be out here, man. This is my second time in Texas. I haven't been out here very often, and this event was awesome. Met a lot of cool people. You guys are awesome.
Well, we've had fun being bunkmates with you guys.
Yeah, I've been following you guys on Facebook and stuff for a long time. I have one of your stickers. You guys sent. I don't know who did, but one of you guys sent me a sticker. We have it on our door.
Good.
Nice. And
Good.
Yeah, dude, we rep you guys. We're all about it.
We appreciate it. You know. So, like I said, hopefully we see you guys next year, and we appreciate you coming out. And you guys reach out to Tim and the Eagles Nest Fly Shack.
I want to get out there soon. I'm going to turkey hunt in New Mexico in a couple months.
Merriam turkeys are awesome. I'm ready for it too.
I think that's what we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
I think I said like oscillators.
An old I run the beer business, and one of our suppliers and Santa Fe Brewing.
Nice.
Their sales manager invited me out for a turkey hunt. And he said, we're going fly fishing too. And
You're in good company.
Yeah,
I
let's
said-
do this.
yeah.
I
The
said,
Santa Fe area is good too, man.
Yeah.
There's some good fishing. There's some
said-
good everything.
I haven't fly fished. He said, we'll figure it out. I said, all right, let's do it.
Ready for fun.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, you're going to have a good time,
Make
man. If
mistakes
you end
and
up in the
you'll have
Eagle Nest
fun.
area, swing by and say hey.
I like I said, I've spent a lot of time in Red River and Eagles Nest. I'm from West Texas, and we used to go out there yearly as a family to trout fish.
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time in Red River and Eagles Nest yearly almost. And
Awesome.
we're due this year.
Yeah, well, when it's
We'll make-
100
we'll make the
degrees
run.
out here and you guys are overheating,
We'll
You
give
can
you a
come to
ring.
you.
come to
Yeah,
Eagle Nest and hear me
absolutely.
complain about 75-degree weather.
No, I know. That was awesome.
Yeah.
As long as we
So-
catch a fish, you can complain all you want.
Yeah. Well, Tim, we appreciate you stopping by, and thank you
Yep.
very much for everything, buddy.
Thank you guys so
Thanks.
much,
Thanks,
and
man.
it was a pleasure being next to you guys, and we'll see you next year.
Next year.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Bye.